Throughout history, almost every country has had its fair share of wars, strife, and violence. In these eras, great people who schemed, fought, and even died defending the honor of their country emerged. The vigor at which these heroes resisted their adversaries for the sake of their country elevated them to almost god status in the history books. They are idolized and taught about. Statues were erected within the country to immortalize them and their heroic deeds. For the beautiful country of Albania, the idol whose name reverberates throughout their history, whose heroic deeds have been sung about in poetry and prose for nearly 6 centuries, the man who defended his country against vast armies, the powerful champion and national hero, his name Gjergj Castrioti, more popularly known as Skanderbeg. Although he's considered somewhat of a god to the Albanian people, Skanderbeg really was human. He was born on the 6th of May, 1405. His father was John Castrioti, Lord of Middle Albania, and his mother was Voisava, whose descent is still speculated. Some say she was a Slavic princess, while other sources claim that she was from the Albanian Muzaka family. There are uncertainties as to where Skanderbeg was born, but studies speculate his place of birth was in the small village of Sine, which was one of the small villages that was owned by his grandfather, Pal Castrioti. Skanderbeg had 8 siblings, 3 older brothers, Stanisha, Reposh and Constantine, and 5 sisters, Mara, Yelena, Angelina, Vlaika and Mamika. At the tender age of 18, Skanderbeg was given off as hostage to a mighty Turkish sultan by his father. As was customary in those days, local chieftains who had been defeated by the Sultan became his vassal and must send one of his children to the Sultan's court, where the child would be held as an internee for an unspecified duration. This was to ensure the Sultan had command over the area ruled by the hostage's father. And although the children were taken prisoners, they weren't jailed, maltreated or subjected to unnecessary harsh treatments. They were sent to the best military schools and prepared to be future military leaders. Such was the case of Skanderbeg. As a result of this, Skanderbeg acquired military education at Enderun School while he was serving as Isi Oglan at Sultan Murad II's court. As it was in those times, he was converted from his Christian religion to the Islamic religion of the Ottomans. After he graduated from this school, Skanderbeg was granted control over one land by the Sultan. He was loyal to the Sultan and even participated in the Ottoman military campaign against Christians. This came as a shock even to his father because Skanderbeg had been raised as a Christian, and participating in movements against Christianity led to some aggravation among the Venetian Senate and his father, who had allegiance with Venice and Serbia. Skanderbeg remained faithful to the Ottoman movement. He continued fighting for Sultan Murad II and rose in ranks to the title of Sifahi. Sometime in 1432, Skanderbeg was summoned by his relatives to return home to join them in the Albanian revolt against the Ottoman Empire. However, Skanderbeg did nothing but remain loyal to the Sultan. Skanderbeg's impressive display of acute military skill and distinction in several Ottoman campaigns stood him out and made him earn the recognition of the Sultan. Skanderbeg quickly rose to the rank of a Subasi, and by 1438 he controlled a rather large number of lands, consisting of about 9 villages, some of which were formerly owned by his now late father. Subsequently, the Sultan promoted him to the title of Vali, and at that time he was leading a cavalry unit of about 5,000 men. During these periods where he was made Subasi over Albanian lands, Skanderbeg and his brother Stanisha made sure to maintain the relationship his father had with the Republic of Venice and the Republic of Ragusa. While he was thought to be fighting on the Ottoman side in their campaigns against Christian forces and gaining several important titles and lands, Skanderbeg maintained close relations with the population in his properties and his father's former properties while he was in Albania as an Ottoman Subasi. He also maintained relations with other Albanian noble families. Ever wondered why Gjergj was nicknamed Skanderbeg? Well, Skanderbeg excelled greatly in military affairs and fought in the Ottoman army for 20 years. His war skills were likened to that of Alexander the Great, and that was how he was named Iskander Bey, which is translated directly to mean Leader Alexander by the Ottomans. The Albanian version is Skanderbeg. In early 1443, Skanderbeg pulled a shocking and quite unexpected move on the Ottoman Empire by suddenly deserting the forces of Sultan Murad II during a battle against the Crusaders of John Hunyadi. He exited the battle and took along with him 300 other Albanians serving in the Ottoman army. Now, not only did he pull out of the army, but he marched straight to the capital of the Kingdom of Albania, Kruja, where he went on to outsmart them by giving the then governor of Kruja a forged letter from Sultan Murad and immediately assumed the position as lord of the city that very day. He then proceeded to capture the smaller regions around and raised a red banner with a black double-headed eagle on the flag as a direct sign of opposition against the Ottomans and a sign of his stand with the Albanians. This banner is still used to this present day as a national symbol. Next, he denounced Islam and reverted to Christianity. He mandated those who had embraced Islam to take up Christianity, and the Muslim settlers who came into the capital and surrounding terrains were also asked to denounce Islam or face death. The Ottomans saw this as the ultimate betrayal and treachery and referred to him as Hain Iskender, which means treacherous Alexander. Now, while the Albanians had been revolting against the Ottomans even before Skanderbeg deserted the Ottoman forces, Skanderbeg achieved a feat for the first time which helped them stand even as a much more formidable opposition. Shortly after he became Lord of Kruja, Skanderbeg, under Venetian patronage, summoned the powerful houses of Albania's noble families to establish a military alliance. This is known as the League of Legia. It was the first time in history that almost all of Albania were united under a single leader. Under Skanderbeg's leadership, the Albanian troops resisted, fought and defeated the much larger Ottoman armies for 25 years. This was no small feat, considering the Albanian armies numbered no more than 10,000 to 15,000 men, while the Ottoman forces were never less than 25,000. The victories of Skanderbeg could be attributed to his military expertise and deep knowledge of his enemies. Having fought alongside the Ottomans and commanded their armies, he was very familiar with their war tactics and strategies, all of which he used while fighting against them. And let's not forget, he had been trained at the Enderun school while serving as a political hostage, proving to be a brilliant student who contributed to some of the Ottoman campaigns. Skanderbeg also possessed a strong, charismatic personality, essential for any leader. Described as tall, strong, broad-chested with thick black hair and beard, and a deep, convincing voice, it's no wonder so many were drawn to his cause. Not only was Skanderbeg a strong military man, but he was also exceptionally smart. Known for using guerrilla tactics and luring his enemies into traps, he frequently adapted his strategies to confuse and surprise his foes. Skanderbeg understood his terrain well and used it to his advantage, realizing the capacity of his army against the Ottomans' larger forces. This was evident in his most iconic battle, the Battle of Albulena in 1457, where he led his army of 8,000 men to defeat an Ottoman army of about 60,000 troops through military cunning. He split his army into several smaller groups and used the mountainous terrain of Albania to his advantage. His troops were hidden from the Ottomans for months, ordered to stay concealed until Skanderbeg gave the command. When they finally attacked the Ottoman camp from behind, the surprise was total, leading to the capture of up to 30,000 men. This war is regarded throughout history as one of Skanderbeg's most amazing victories. However, despite his prowess, Skanderbeg also faced defeats. One such loss was caused by the betrayal of his own nephew, Hamza Castrioti. After marrying Donica to strengthen ties with influential Albanian noblemen and fathering a male child, Hamza, heartbroken and ambitious, aligned with the Ottoman army. Later, a large Ottoman force invaded Albania, led by Isak Beg and Hamza Castrioti. Familiar with Skanderbeg's tactics, they inflicted significant damage on the Albanian troops. The turning point was at the Battle of Albulena, where Skanderbeg had to regroup and devise a strategy unfamiliar to his nephew, leading to a remarkable victory. Such skills helped him repel the Ottomans for a solid 25 years. How does one so great, so smart, so charismatic and full of vigour die? I, for one, would imagine his death to be poetic and heroic, perhaps dying in one last attempt to save his troops from a massive attack, or something as daring as challenging the Ottomans single-handedly, or maybe even something as sinister as being poisoned. Yet it wasn't any of these scenarios, but rather a mosquito that ended the great Skanderbeg's life. Yes, it was malaria that claimed him on the 17th of January 1468 at the age of 62. His death demonstrated how much a good leader could influence the morale of armies. Within less than 10 years after his passing, the Albanians fell like apples into the Ottomans' hands. Yet his legacy remains a symbol of Albanian freedom, inspiring Albanians to fight for their independence and national unity. So great was Skanderbeg that when the Ottomans discovered his grave, they made amulets from his bones, believing they would grant them strength and bravery in battle. Many tales have been told of the mighty dragon of Albania, who is said to have slain over 3,000 Ottoman soldiers single-handedly, a legendary fighter who could split a man's skull in half with a swing of his scimitar, cut through iron helmets, and kill a wild boar in one hand and a bull in the other. Until today, his praises are still sung, and his name will forever remain in the history books of Albania. Indeed, there never again would be another Skanderbeg. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share, and leave a comment below. Also, if you would like to see more of these, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications to be the first to know when we post a new video. Thank you for watching.